The disclaimers always say consult a professional, consult a professional. This is not a substitute for professional or medical advice. Please seek a professional, seek a professional. Well, I figured out who the list of professionals we can talk to about all of our functional and psychedelic needs. And so I'm finna give y'all this list. We're gonna talk about the things that they do and the differences in the list of layers of people who are mental health professionals and would be in a position to give you some type of expertise. Number one on the list is a psychiatrist. Psychiatrists, they specialize in mental health disorders and underlying conditions. Their overall goal is to determine if you're in a healthy mental space. Next on the list, coming in at number 2, is clinical psychologists. They are trained to assess, diagnose, and treat emotional and mental health issues through therapy and counseling, okay? They got another layer, therapy and counseling. They help you to process emotions, set intentions, and navigate risks and concerns. Moving on. Number 3 is your therapist and your counselors. These people, they specialize in lanes of therapy like cognitive, behavioral, or trauma-informed therapy to work through mental health struggles and personal growth. Their main goal is to be a line of emotional support. They're also there to help you prepare and integrate the insights that you gain along the way. Stuff you talk about in therapy. Next on the list is doctors, your primary care physicians. They are assessing safety with consideration to like pre-existing health conditions and to make sure that whatever you're doing is not like conflicting with your medications if you are taking them, and also to like mitigate adverse health effects should there be any. And I know that this list is like mental health, but a good amount of this also goes for functional mushrooms as well, because again, a primary care physician, if you were to try some tincture, the tincture don't work out for you, let's say you have some type of reaction to it, or it don't mesh well, or you end up being sick, or it doesn't mesh well with your medications, right? Then primary care doctors are there for that too. Coming in at number 5 are holistic practitioners. If you are not familiar with holistic medicine, I don't know how you ended up here, but holistic people, these are the people who the big pharmacies don't really like, because how dare you use herbs and spices and plants and natural remedies to fix yourself when we have a pill for that, and we need you to be a repeat customer, because if they fix you when you're not sick, how you gonna help us make our money? Absolutely not. Can't have that. Hate those people. So your holistic practitioners, this also includes herbalists. They essentially provide conventional and alternative approaches to health, and they also may have some direct experience when it comes to psychedelic and functional mushrooms. So it would be easy for a herbalist or a holistic practitioner to be like, I don't know, a hippie or something, you know, the cool people, or the weirdos that y'all like, nah, they just be outside touching grass and in nature and playing with plants. Put a little bit more respect on them, okay? Thank you. Rounding out the second to last spot on this list, we have specialists who are trained in psychedelic assisted therapy on paper. Psychedelic assisted therapy is, I think, another layer and like certification that regular therapists can add to their qualifications and specialties. These people are trained with a focus on psychedelic therapy in a clinical setting, and they typically range from like MDMA to mushrooms and ketamine. Ketamine is the most common. You can find ketamine clinics in a lot of places. We have them here in Chicago as well. I have a lot of questions, so hopefully can get these questions answered for those people specifically. And yeah, because the list of questions is long. However, the difference with them is that they provide professional guidance that is substance specific, right? So if we were to talk about somebody like Gabar, chef's kiss, but I also wonder, like, one of the biggest questions I have for people who are trained in psychedelic assisted therapy is like, one, how much personal experience do you have with all the substances that you provide this professional guidance for? That is kind of spooky. A lot of eyebrows raised on that. But it's like, through what medium, and is there a limit? Like, nah, I am for mushrooms, I'm for MDMA, I'm for ketamine. I also noticed that peyote was not on the list, and I'm like, why not? I also noticed that ayahuasca pieces of that. And then how do you say that somebody is qualified enough, and if they've had enough experience and exposure and done enough research to be able to guide somebody else? And then what about people who don't have any personal experience with it at all? Like, how do they fall into the category of like eligibility to be able to coach someone in something that they literally cannot relate to? Like, I get that some things we can do that with. Prime example, there are some pediatric physicians that have never had children before, but they can deliver a baby. They give great advice for moms. They have, you know, their own methods of recommendations for moms that's rooted in like being informed about it, but I don't necessarily know how that would work with a medicine. You see what I'm saying? Like, it's a lot, at least for me, there are a lot of layers and a lot of things that just go into it, and so it just makes me curious. Last but certainly not least on this list, y'all ready? Psychonauts and experimentalists. I wonder if y'all know anybody who's a psychonaut or an experimentalist. This extra special category of people, they give advice and insights based on personal experiences. They also are highly likely to offer integration services and trip sitting. www.keycustoms175.com, www.SHROOMBAE.com. It'll all take you to the right place. I promise you it will. Our specialties is that we seek to provide wisdom about navigating experiences, challenging ones at that, and most importantly, managing emotions before and after a trip. More experimental than medical, because we would be the fuck around and find out group safely, though, because there can only be so much fucking around and finding out. But I think the important piece of that, at least for me, is that there's a layer of personal experience and then the work and understanding the work and the experience after it is over. Every lane of consultant or professional is its own lane, and I feel that every group of professionals in this list, they bring their own special contributions to the table. The different layers of intentionality and support and risk mitigation overall, that every layer of a professional as it pertains to this network of resourceful people who are in a position to provide guidance and support and wisdom. I feel like everybody does their part, if that makes sense. It is something that I'm like, okay, now that I've figured out who said professionals are, I wonder what they have to say, because there's another part of me that's like, how do I know that I've picked the right person? How do I know that they're even supportive of this beyond it making them $1? How do I know that their personal stance on it would not be, how do I know that their bias, no matter what it is, would be beneficial to me? How do I know that they are going to remain neutral? Prime example, when I worked this one job, there was an on-site physician. I got injured, and she and I ended up having a conversation about mushrooms in general. And so I said something to her jokingly, and she was like, why do you want to hallucinate? And that was her first response. At first I was like, well, how you know I'm gonna hallucinate? What if I might like what I see? I don't know. I didn't think about that. But now looking back on that conversation, a comment like that is like, oh, are you trying to deter me, or are you just uninformed? Because why do you think I'm just gonna hallucinate? And I asked her, I said, have you done it before? And she was like, no, I don't want to see stuff. I'm like, how you know you're going to see stuff? And she was like, well, I don't know. I'm like, well, are you interested in finding out? She was like, nah, I see enough stuff as a physician. I'm okay. Like today, I'm pretty much positive that your shoulder is almost dislocated. This was enough to see for me today, right? And it was a lighthearted banter. But also, too, it's just like, how many of these people who have never done it before are giving advice or their opinion or their recommendations based on something that they may not be completely informed about, 2, are not really interested in understanding or integrating necessarily, and then 3, the insight that you're looking for from this professional, they may not be able to give it to you. But then it's like, how do I know, or is there a network for me to find psychedelic assisted trained therapists the same way I could find in my network, or a dentist that's in my network, or a therapist that's in my network that specializes in abuse or sexual assault or like substance abuse, or you know what I mean? Like how do we find the necessary filters for the layers that we may need when we are consulting said professionals? So as we stick a pin in that, because I do intend to find out, I do hope that you all will stay along for the journey, because as I'm thinking of more questions, I'm also interested in finding more answers. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, comment, like, and subscribe, and I will catch y'all on the flip side, my mushy buddies.